All right, so I'm building my console table here, and I've made the drawer boxes that fit in there, and they're nice box joined on every corner, and they fit well after I've cut them down and made them good. The only problem is is that I made them too deep. They're not supposed to come out flush with the front here like this. They were actually supposed to be inset because the drawer front is supposed to be flush with the front, and the drawer front is separate and gets fastened onto these drawers after. So I've got to fix that. I've got the 3 drawers right here that I need to cut down in some way. Now there are a few different ways to do this. I can do it the easy way, and that's just to I've got to take about a 1/2 inch off because the drawer front is a 1/2 inch. So I could just set the saw to cut like the back off, the entire back here off, and then cut a new piece of wood, or even cut the piece that I have here and put it back in to fix it up. And that will be acceptable, except I'll lose my box joints on the back here. But you know what? That's not a big deal. So I think that that's the way I'm going to do it, mainly because I want to get this thing done. The other ways to do it, of course, are to rebuild the drawers, which is not an option, especially not for me. You could also do what I just said here, and you could cut box joints in here, very carefully laying it out with the saw, the table saw, to make the cuts, because you can't get this in the jig anymore, and then cut the end piece to fit in there. That amount of work is not something that I think is warranted for this type of problem here. So the first cut I'm going to make is through the sides. I've got the blade raised up just to clear that as it cuts through. And I'm going to use my mini table saw sled along with the fence to make this cut. And now to finish making that cut, I've raised the blade up a little bit, enough to cut through the 1/2 inch plywood bottom, and I'll run it through the saw. Okay, the next thing I need to do is, cut this plywood off here. So I've reset my fence. I actually cut the first piece, sneaking up on the cut to dial it in perfectly so that it fits in there right. And I'm going to cut the other 2 in the same way. Final cut to make is to cut them to length, and I'm going to do that on the table saw as well using my mini table saw sled. What I'm going to do is cut the end off, sneaking up on the inside edge of the return piece. Basically, I want to just cut that part off and leave what's on the other side of the bottom of the box joints. So I've got them all cut, and now I need to glue them back in. I'm going to use regular wood glue for this, mainly because it sets up fast. And I need to, like I said before, get this done. I also have one more operation that I want to do with this to make these more solid. Now, they were box joints before, and in my opinion, box joints are the strongest joint in woodworking. And it's not really needed here, but it would be nice if I could somehow make the joint a little bit stronger. So what I'm going to do is, after the glue sets on this in about an hour, I'm going to cut splines in as well. I've done that kind of thing before on other projects. Okay, I went in and I had lunch and gave the glue about an hour to dry, and since come out and taken it out of the clamps, sanded the back here nicely, and it looks good. I also took the time to cut the splines that I want to put in. And now that I have those made, all I need to do is cut the slots in the back of the drawer here for those splines to fit in. I cut the splines themselves to 1/8 by 1/8, and I cut the slot to fit them, so it's a good snug fit in there. And I'm just going to glue these in once again with regular wood glue because I wanted to dry quickly, and this is the strongest. So I'm just going to put one in here, but obviously you can put more in if you want to, make it stronger. But for my purposes here, I think one's going to be fine. So I'm just going to stick that in. No need for a clamp, because once that goes in, the glue hits it, it swells up a little bit, and clamps are not going to do anything anyway. I don't even have to let the glue dry on these before I can trim them down flush. Just using my block plane here. Get them down close, and then I'll hand sand the rest. And the spline itself along the back virtually disappears. On the end there, it kind of looks a little bit like a single box joint. So I think it looks pretty good.